Welcome back to the Gun Collective Podcast. My name is John Patton. Huge thank you to our TGC Patreon supporters for making this show possible. We would love to have you guys on board at least the $5 a month level, because not only do you get behind the scenes shenanigans and some early access to our content, but you are also automatically thrown into the Gun of the Month Club, where we give away at least one big thing a month to our awesome supporters. This month, we're doing a gun, and it's Marlin 336 Big Loop, chambered in 3030 Winchester. That's going to be awesome over at patreon.com/The Gun Collective. Now, today, we are going to attempt to tackle the age-old question of what is a YEET cannon? And how did HiPoint anger neckbeards and threepers nationwide? Also, why does any of this matter? Joining me tonight, we have a cast of characters comprised of some genuinely fantastic people. First up, Mike Odell, a man that has the toughest eardrums in the gun industry, a man that hails from the great state of Missouri and happens to work for a gun company called Central Missouri Machine Gun, a.k.a. CMMG. Mike, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Dude, it's about damn time we got you on the show. We get to hang out maybe like twice a year. This is good. I'm happy to have you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, I heard that CMMG may be doing some fun stuff later this year, so we're definitely going to have to stay tuned for that.
We're always doing fun stuff.
That is an understatement. By the way, the reference I was making, what gun do you stand next to the most at gun events? Where do you
Mark 47?
Yeah, the Mark 47 machine gun. I've never seen more fireballs come closer to a dude's beard.
Oh yeah, I stand next to that thing event after event after event, and last time we tallied that thing up, we're rocking somewhere in the neighborhood of around 100,000 rounds through that gun. It's the same upper, same lower, same bolt carrier group, same barrel. We changed the furniture out to kind of modernize it with some of our newer offerings. But the core pieces of that gun is around 100,000 rounds. And you've seen us torture that thing at Iraq Vet, where we drop it in the cooler to quench it to get its cool off so people can keep running it. So, yeah.
It's proper abuse on that gun. Next up tonight, we have the man behind arguably one of the most popular gun marketing campaigns in the last few years. He also has a very fun name to pronounce, and I've been told that I've been told this is a thing that my non-existent producers told me, that he may actually want to make HiPoint create a submachine gun chambered in 44 Magnum for the Department of Homeland Security. Dave Kawaka, how are we pronouncing that?
Kawaka.
All right. Dave, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man.
It's good to have you here. It's good to finally get an opportunity to hang out a little bit. I know this is not our normal, like we see each other for about 5 seconds at a gun trade show or something. That's typically what we'll do. So pretty much, I feel like people have a lot of questions for you.
I'm sure.
We will definitely get to that. And last but not least tonight, the Appalachian expert on mustache hair, hill person, Johnny Bragg himself. Johnny, how are you, man?
Man, I am so glad to be here. We got all sorts of fun coming up tonight. We got great guests this evening. Now, I'm over in the chat room also talking to those folks. We got a whole bunch of people in the chat room. If you've got anything to say, just post it up in there. If you've got a super chat, that will definitely get read. And I told the chat a minute ago, if they post any question, they have a 56% chance this evening of actually getting it read. So pretty excited tonight. Thanks for having me.
That's really optimistic. 56%. That's optimistic.
Yeah, I regretted it as soon as I typed it.
It's oddly specific.
Like, no, I want that back. I don't want the internet to have that. So we have to talk about the YEET cannon in the room. What on earth is going on over at HiPoint? Dave, can you tell us what the original idea was with all of this? Just from the very beginning, what were you guys attempting to do?
It literally was. This is funny. If like everybody actually would have read our initial posting, it was we wanted name submission ideas because we really didn't know what we're going to call it. It was kind of open platform. We kind of threw ideas around, and it came about of let's go online with it. Let's throw it out there and see what the public would submit. So that's what we put out there. Oh no, don't get me wrong. We knew we were gonna get tons of crap, and there is tons of crap. There's crap that I don't even want to repeat that was so bad. Well, Johnny, you sent me the one link where it was what was it, Anon or whatever.
Yeah, Jews did 9/11 was my favorite.
Wow.
Oh, is that what that one? Okay.
Yeah, we're not suggesting that. We are not suggesting that. But one that came over from Weekend Gun It. I think that one came from Gun It. It's a Reddit forum on there of some really nice people, fantastic people you'd want to take home to meet mom. But my favorite one from that, most of them we can't mention, but my favorite one was Jews did 9/11. It was the JWS 911 model.
Yeah, okay,
that is absolutely ridiculous. So you wanted the public to give suggestions for the name.
Yeah,
and just suggestions. So I think what's really interesting about that is, one, I don't know if anybody's actually attempted that before. I think we've all thought about it, but I don't know if we have ever seen a gun company try to just go, have at it, guys. Here's a thing, and go ahead.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody else has. And that's kind of why we also wanted to go for it, because it's HiPoint. You know, in that whole crowd, either you love us or you hate us. The people that love us, they know why they love us, and the haters, they hate us just because they can.
Sure.
So yeah, we
Dave, can you pull your mic in closer?
Yep. How's that?
That's I think that's a little bit better. Guys are having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Let's make sure the cup doesn't hit it.
That's all right. So, you guys went out on a limb, and for those that don't know, at least with my interactions, you guys kind of understand where you fit. Is that right? Is that safe to say?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like people on the internet love to be like, oh, these guns are for the poors, and it's like, no, they're an affordable option. Mm-hmm. I've got one. Mine is sitting right back here, and it's all multicolor. I call that my YEET cannon, but I think you guys understand the fun of what creators are doing with it, what the internet is now starting to do with HiPoints, and I think that's a good place to be. Mike, in your experience, how much does a name matter on a gun?
I mean, if you get the right one, it's incredible. The downside is you do run into things that are obstacles that kind of make you go, okay, maybe I should or shouldn't have done that. But when we renamed a lot of our guns, I mean, we get a lot of people that came out and they would say like, hey, stop naming your guns. But on the other hand, you have to have something that keeps you a little bit different from everybody else, because I mean, just running with numbers, for so long just is like it blurs into, everybody else. So, you really kind of need to do something to get yourself a little bit of that advantage, have it where, you have something a little more memorable. And I think they're doing a great campaign at it right now.
Well, I for one harassed the crap out of you guys about the naming structure, and I'm glad. I for one am glad that you switched it up. So, kind of what you're saying, it seems, is that it matters to a point, but it can't be, and it won't be the entirety of the gun. There's obviously got to be more substance there. So,
right. I mean, we've had we've definitely had our ups and downs. That's why we did a lot of our restructuring here in 2019. We had things like the DTR, the DTR2, the XTM, we had models that were a ton of different names, and each one of those acronyms meant something. But, it just got so blurred and so muddy after a while that, just simply having 3 gun names and 3 tiers made it so much easier for us. And it makes it a lot easier to explain. We met a lot of resistance when we tried doing changes like that. And people were like, oh, why'd you do that? You just completely messed it up. It makes no sense. But once people understand how simple it is, you see the light bulb come on, you're like, oh, yeah, that does make sense.
So speaking of simplicity, I think that brings us to another interesting point. The HiPoint lineup of firearms is one of the most simplistic across the board, I think, arguably, again. Johnny, in your experience, are they complex firearms? And I'm asking you this softball of a question because I think you can kind of wax about the reality of the brand from an outside perspective.
You're talking about HiPoint specifically, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Like, I think for me, everything with HiPoint changed. And I don't know if you know about complex, if you're talking about the actual working of the gun at the range or the overall brand and people's thought patterns.
Both.
I know in thought patterns, everything for me changed. I think for the industry changed when Demolition Ranch tried to kill one and he couldn't. And that's like, that gets referenced all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. Like, and I was talking to Dave at NRA and just like, I was just laughing and making fun of the gun, but it's like, it's really in a good way. It's like our goofy little cousin at the family reunion, but he's still my cousin. Like, I still feel like he may be our goofy cousin, but he's still our cousin. And because it is affordable and it's fun to have to make fun of, it's fun to get to make fun of it on one hand, but it's also kind of cool to have a gun that's that affordable. Actually working one's not a big deal. Like a friend of mine, like they do work, but they work a little bit differently. Hickok says you don't actually clean them, you just throw them away. And I've said that too, but it's fun to be able to sit and talk to a company, which I did at NRA, because in my most recent video on April, I did an April Fool's Day joke video on the gun. That's how the Hill Person Johnny became Hill Person Johnny, was over the HiPoint. And I even called it on there an unbelievably big chunky piece of plastic. And then right there, you just saw Dave just nodded. He's like, yeah, it's what we are. But you know what? We run, you put a bullet in it, it's going to fire. So it's kind of cool at this price point. I think maybe as far as the workings of it mentally and within the industry, I think it's an absolute blast. And before I turn it back over, we have a super chat that just came in. Crazy Ivan 2X. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. The question is for Dave. He says, hey, Sky is now selling a YEET cannon. Any thoughts?
Dave, you'll have to unmute yourself. Wait for it.
Here it comes. It's in that little bar right up about the top of my head.
I think, did you see the Sky? Have you seen that thing, John?
Yeah, I saw it. I thought the Sky looked kind of cool. There's a lot of companies. It's not just Sky that's doing it, but it's a lot of companies that are producing it. And then here in just a minute, I'm going to talk about the actual genesis of the word YEET, because I think most people don't understand the word YEET.
I think Dave's having dude, if you have to, don't feel bad about logging back in. Click the link again. It should get you in here, no problem. What I think is interesting is how and we'll jump more on this later. The entire industry has jumped all over this. And you were talking about the perception of HiPoint as a brand, and I think what's again interesting here is 2 weeks ago, everybody, there you go, you got it. Everybody in the industry, well, I shouldn't say in the industry, a ton of people. Yeah, we can hear you now. A ton of people.
That was weird. I didn't touch a thing.
Hey, whatever, we'll take it as a win, right?
Yeah.
A ton of people were. Oh, they're cheap, they're this, they're that, and they were kind of talking crap on them.
And then Monday, oh my gosh, Monday, I know where you're going with this. On Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it was, as soon as HiPoint said, because everybody's like, oh, they're cheap, I don't want one. As soon as they said we're not naming it the YEET, everybody, and I mean everybody, is like, oh, hell's bells, I was buying one of those up until today. So now suddenly they're the hottest gun on the market right now is not even available. Back to Dave. What is your opinion? This is the super chat question. Your opinion on Sky's YEET cannon?
Good for them. I mean, at this point, regardless of what we do, which granted it's highly favorably towards YEET cannon, but at this point it doesn't matter because everybody else is already going to roll out with something YEET cannon. How many AR guys are already doing YEET lowers already? So Sky doing their slides they're offering, cool, good for them.
I think what's the internet did something, and then they really just tried to take over your branding, and I find that fascinating.
Oh yeah,
in a certain way. So I'll rewind a second. There were a couple people in our live chat here that didn't know what exactly was going on. So rewind back to SHOT Show. HiPoint announces they're coming out with a new 9mm handgun to replace the C9. Super exciting because it hasn't been done in a very, very long time. The C9 was introduced years ago. So an updated gun is great, right? Well, they didn't know what they were going to call it. They introduced this kind of crowdfunding, if you will, of names. And basically, that brings us to where you were with these naming suggestions. You said, hey, internet, bring it on, send over the suggestions. And you guys, I don't know, was it you actually that put together the image with 4 different things on it?
Yeah. Yeah, I put that together. That was the popularity one, the clean version, I should say.
You're right. The selected, highlighted version. So that image came out, and I believe what happened, and this is speculation, of course, I believe the internet went, oh, those are our choices. We want Yeet Cannon. Is that correct?
Bingo. That's exactly what happened. They saw the clean popular list, and the internet absolutely took that as, oh my gosh, these are the top names.
So to give everybody the complete info here, the top 4 were SOTG, that was from the Student of the Gun crowd. Then we had the PS9 or Problem Solver. That's a classic name and really fits. And then you had the WLS9 from the We Like Shooting crowd. And the number one, far and away, the number one was Yeet Cannon. Yes, Yeet Cannon or YC9. And the internet latched onto that. And here's where things started to go really, like, people were actually excited, like, oh my god, they're not going to call the gun a Yeet Cannon, are they? Are they going to do that? Is that a real thing? Is that going to happen? And I don't know, Mike, how do you feel about the name Yeet Cannon?
I'm a little mixed on it. I mean, I appreciate the fact that it's really gotten people out and talking about it, and it's gotten people in our community joined together for a somewhat common cause, I guess you can say. We're not infighting; we're going after HiPoint and saying, no, you must name it this. But the thing is, I mean, people have to stop and think, if this is what it gets named, they're going to be stuck with it. And then you have to stop and think, okay, what are these social media and what are these different types of trends, that just in our social lives, they have ebbs and flows and things change all the time, so I don't know. It's like, do you want to commit to naming a gun, Yeet Cannon, if in 6 months Yeet is no longer a thing?
Yes, the answer is yes. We want to commit to that.
I just had a moment of, oh my god, this is a real conversation we're having on the air.
We're having an entire conversation over the name of a gun based on a meme that the internet came up with. These are the best days ever.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, give me credit. It's my meme. I built that meme. Come on. It wasn't the internet. It was me.
All right. You heard it, internet.
I'm kidding.
You heard it. Not only did he take Yeet Cannon away from you once, he's taking it away twice and claiming ownership. So I agree with you. I think, Mike, you made a great point about the name kind of being stuck. And Johnny and I have talked about this and said, look, this is not going to stick as far as, how funny it is or how long you might need it. Like, if you guys are on a release schedule of once every 5 to 10 years on new handguns, you're stuck with Yeet Cannon for a long damn time. A long time.
And I love it. I mean, I love the attention it's getting. I love the fun that everybody's having with it. I love the fact. I love how HiPoint. I love Dave. I love how you guys are reacting to it. You're getting other manufacturers on board. I mean, you're getting comments from HK, and they want to do a collaboration with you, I believe, from what I saw. But then you have other manufacturers, that they're branding their lowers and stuff too. So I mean, it's getting a lot of fun out there in the industry. But me being the negative Nancy or something too, it's just somebody has to look at it from the other side, and I mean, what's the longevity of this really going to be?
A solid 6 weeks. It'll be a really good 6-week run. All right, we've got a super chat that just came in. That one RC guy, really appreciate that. We got a lot of questions in the chat room and a few famous people in there, and some people I have no idea who they are. But the one RC guy, car guy, he says this: hey Dave, if Yeet does win, will it actually say Yeet on the gun, maybe on the slide?
If Yeet does win an actual production gun, it's going to be YC9. That will be a production.
The internet lets out a collective sigh.
Oh, totally. But now I can tell you as well. Yeah.
Hang on. Can you? I know I'm being a pain. Can you pull the mic a little bit more forward? It's picking up your breath.
Forward, up, like that.
Yeah. You were breathing out of your nose, and we could hear it real clear. So
typical HiPoint people.
Yeah. So you're saying if it gets called the YEET cannon, it will say YC9. It will not say YEET on the gun. Is that correct?
Partly, yes.
Oh, you realize? Yeah.
Hang on. Here you go. If it wins the production run stuff, will be YC9 with our usual information on the slide like now. But the plan also will be if it wins, we will actually have a run that will be YEET cannon itself. How many we're going to run? We're not really sure yet. We're toying on that idea still. We have been for a while.
Run 12.
The correct answer is and always will be 42.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things people have to think about too, especially when it comes to manufacturing, because when you're manufacturing a firearm, you're going to have a specific model number. Like, just for example, everybody knows what the Mark 47 was called when it came out. It had a nickname. Kevin. I'm going to start running with that. Oh, man, we were going to name it a Johnny, but I guess we can call it the Kevin now. So.
You can't call it a Johnny. That's a different thing.
That's true. Well, we are talking about YEET, so.
Right.
But, I mean, so everybody has to have, a specific, a model number to it. Like a lot of our Banshees, I mean, they fall under, the MK4, the MKGS, just kind of like you had the variants that you've got in the 380s and 9s and all that stuff now. So, I mean, YC9 fits itself perfectly for an actual model number. But, in literature and publications and advertising and stuff, call it YEET cannon, have some fun with it. And then when it dies off, it's the YC9. I mean, I can see both.
Exactly.
I have no problem with YC9 because then what does that stand for? I've never seen a Y on a gun.
Right.
It's my YEET cannon, and it's not a joke at that point. So
the word cannon is fantastic. I mean, that's a great name for for any gun. That's a great name, but for a HiPoint, oh yeah, I'm in.
I've seen so many friends come out of the woodwork in local conversations that I've had with local gun shops and stuff on some of their Facebook pages. And I have so many friends that were like, if they name it that, I'm buying one. I mean, people that, not
there's a ton doing
but there are a ton of people out there that would have never bought a HiPoint before in their life. And now they're like, I'm totally going to get one if they name it that. So, I mean, if it goes YC9, you guys better up some production. Ready to roll with this.
I honestly think probably better majority of the YC9 or even YEET cannon crowd, are exactly that. They're the guys that have never owned one, but they want to buy one because it's going to be YEET cannon. Yeah, that's a lot of them for sure.
So let's talk about for a second here. Why is the internet mad? Johnny, can you kind of explain that again from an outside perspective? Because I don't want Dave to softball it.
No, because Dave is in the softball business apparently tonight. And he's like, yeah, we might do it. We might not do it. Stand by to watch. Here's the deal. You can't control people's perception. It doesn't matter what HiPoint actually wanted to say. It doesn't matter what HiPoint actually did or what they said or what their social media actually said. I'm talking about public perception. And a lot of people in the mythology that's already cranking out there, we're doing a freaking show about it right now. And my Monday gossip show is going to be entitled YEET Cannon. Of course it is. And I'm also going to say that's the last day we're talking about it. Like, I'm going to put a period on the end of that drama. It'll be a comma, but I'm going to try for a period. However, the genesis is most people, or at least the masses that are on the keyboards. Now, research says only 1% of people actually will comment. So only 1%. All this nonsense is coming from 1%. However, these neckbeards that are typing on their keyboards, they perceived that HiPoint threw out this idea, hey, name the gun, whoop-de-doo, and all these names came in. And then when the next one came out, when I know what HiPoint was trying to do, I get it. But public perception was when they came out with that next round, they're like, hey, here's your choices, and it was like C9, lame name 9, dumb 9. Like, it was all these dumb names, all like these numbers. They were terrible. People lost their mind. So the idea is this: it's very simple. Is that the internet asked for YEET cannon and HiPoint didn't acknowledge that, and I am so glad it happened. I embraced this week. Dave, you don't have to defend that at all. I just think that's public perception.
So I'm going to weigh in for a second. So I will add on to what Johnny said, and I will say that what seemingly happened is that basically a giant middle finger was posted, And people genuinely like the name Yeet Cannon was a thing that the internet started to latch onto. And then when the secondary the list came out, the quote unquote real list came out, people went ballistic. And here's the thing, guys are like, oh well, I'm mad, I'm not going to buy one. Well, it was questionable whether you're going to buy one to begin with, but I think what this has done is supercharge the gun industry to a point we haven't seen in a very I would say that the last time we saw something like this was a Springfield Saint. That was a huge deal when it was happening. People, what is Springfield doing? Oh my God, the Saint, and then it was an AR, and everybody just went, "Oh, come on!"
And I think what matters in this conversation is, and I know that the votes were spread out over a ton of stuff, things that were unmentionable, a lot of tongue-in-cheek racism stuff, probably a lot of real racism. I mean, there was some bad stuff that came in from 9gag, and if you don't know what 9gag is, just thank heavens and move on. Don't Google it. But a lot of these names came in, and so there was only, I think, 560 votes for Yeet Cannon total.
Yes, that's correct.
And then, David, was it Monday or Tuesday when it hit?
Well,
it was earlier this week. I think it was Monday.
Yeah, we put the list out. That was Tuesday.
All right, Tuesday. So then all night Tuesday. Now, here's if people that aren't plugged in, what matters with this, you need to know this, is Tuesday evening, it wasn't 560 people. It was thousands and thousands of people, and YouTube was insane. Facebook was crazy. Instagram was crazy. My text was blowing up.
You couldn't go anywhere on social media without seeing something there. I got added to at least 2 or 3 different new Facebook groups overnight, which now have several thousand members. And there is actually some other stuff happening. Like we said earlier, manufacturers just are all over this. I saw somebody sent IWI a message and said, "Hey, when are you going to release your own Yeet Cannon?" What in the hell is going on in the gun industry when people are demanding, not just that they're demanding HiPoint, name everybody certain thing. They want every manufacturer to make it. Like what in the world, Dave? Was this what you expected to happen?
No, that's the funny thing, because I mean, when the whole name submission thing was going on, even from that, we weren't getting a lot of entries, because the first day, a couple of days, it was We Like Shooting had it as one of the most more popular names, minus the unfiltered crap. But the Yeet Cannon variants, which really wasn't, and it was Yeet Cannon, it was YC9, YC-9, all kinds of variants and crap. But it wasn't real strong number, but it was almost always on Facebook and Instagram. And we saw that even then. We're like, huh. What's this going to turn into? Because we're seeing a lot of traffic here, but not where we actually want it. And we even told people, we're like, hey, go submit this on our website. And they'd kind of reply, yeah, no kidding. Like, hey, we're just trying to give you the heads up. So as that support kept growing for YC9 Yeet Cannon, we're like, all right, let's have a backup plan here, because we're not sure what's going to happen with this. Because the factory, we were giving them heads up, and they're like, yeah, Yeet Cannon. I'm like, no, we're going to pick our own. We're like, that's fine. Pick your own. That's why we got this thing set up. And once we dropped that list this week, we knew it was going to be, I wouldn't say revolt. We knew there'd be attention. There would be voice to it. Did not expect torches and pitchforks at all.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting about this whole thing is how quickly people latched on to it.
We got another super chat. Sorry, John. We got another super chat that just came in. It came in. I just lost it, but appreciate these super chats as they're coming in. Shooting Gallery, NE. Thanks, brother. A big $2 came in there. Here's a question for Mike, and this one's actually from me. Mike, we're in a day now where, because of social media, everybody has a say-so. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to limit you just to what you're doing at CMMG, but you do get to see a lot of stuff, Mike, at CMMG. Do you feel like that your customers or the CMMG audience and subscriber base, or whatever the right word is, the customer base, do they feel like they have to have more of a say-so in the overall workings of putting a product on the market?
Man, that's me trying to speak for the customers. That's really kind of tough to say. I mean, we definitely really like to try and stay engaged with our customers. We try to have a really good social media presence. We try to stay, active, answering all the emails and the messages, and reply to as much stuff as we can. And, anytime anybody comes up with something or an idea, I definitely make sure that I take note of it and, If it's something that I need to pass on to tech support, I'll do that. If it's something I need to pass on to engineers, I do that. There's a lot of people that come out with some really good ideas. Us trying to be innovative, we're like, hey, we just came out with this. But it never fails. As soon as we come out with something really cool, everybody's like, yeah, it's kind of like everybody wants chocolate. You come out with chocolate and they're like, oh, we really wanted vanilla. And then you come out with vanilla and they're like, oh, what about Rocky Road? Why didn't you make that? So there's always,
you can't satisfy them.
There's always a little bit of a variance, and it's trying to keep up with everybody. But it's also, trying to make sure that everything we've got is, something that we're going to be proud to put out there and be able to, stand behind and have our lifetime quality guarantee behind too.
I think that's pretty interesting because, every time you guys come out with a new gun, I say, why isn't it chambered in a 50 cal? I mean, literally that's the kind of crap I say to you guys. Just I'm teasing. But.
Yeah, we get it everywhere. When we released the 45 ACP, we did that because there wasn't an AR in 45 ACP. So in the fun part of it was it let us have a design challenge where we came up with the radio delay blowback. So it had too much gas for standard blowback. It didn't have enough gas for DI. So we came up with the new system for it. So it was fun, and it let us see a lot of fun new things, and it opened up the door to a lot of new options. Obviously we had to come out with the 9mm. I think a lot of people weren't expecting a 5.7 by 28, but that thing has just gone crazy for us. People just absolutely love that. But when we did 45 ACP, our gun is rated for 450 SMC, which is a pretty wicked round. But immediately everybody's like, well, where's 460 rolling? We're constantly getting things like that. So, but the sad thing is if I could say one thing.
Oh, of course.
The customers out there in the gun. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into there.
Mike, it cut you off as soon as you said, if I could say one thing, your internet dropped the ball on you. What were you going to say?
It's not quite as easy as just rechambering a gun. There's a lot of different things that go into there.
What do you mean there's engineering that
blah,
goes
blah,
I know.
blah, blah,
I know.
blah, blah.
Just make it. Put it on the machine and just run the reamer for something stupid down the bore, and it'll be fine.
Oh, we get people to message that all the time. They're like, "Oh, since you just came out with this, I'm just going to ream my bore out to this and do this." And I'm okay. Well, good luck with that cycling and having too much pressure and
the warranty voiding crowd is strong.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about something here that I think is interesting. That the audience here in the live chat is kind of bouncing all around this, and they're talking about something. They're talking about this new gun, that new gun. I think we're missing the point that HiPoint came out with a new pistol, and besides the 10mm carbine, there really hasn't been anything new in a very, very. How long has it actually been, Dave?
Well, yeah, the 10mm which we did last year, and a year or two before that was the 380 carbine.
But those are arguably incremental changes,
right? Because it's all the same guns, just another caliber. The C9 in particular hasn't had a change in almost 20 years. So almost 20 years.
I can't believe that thing's 20 years old and people are still buying it.
Right.
And that's really, really shocking as a whole. In so many ways, that's shocking. But this new gun, what was the catalyst behind coming up with this new gun, and where did what the hell's going on over there? Why were you guys just like, oh, you know what, it's time? What happened?
A couple of things you understand. Originally, HiPoint, their main manufacturing plant was B Miller. B Miller was owned by Tom Deeb. Tom Deeb was the chief architect of everything HiPoint. When he sold the company, I'm going to forget what year, so I won't even try and gamble that. He sold it to his machine shop partner, which is Mike Strassel. Mike now owns HiPoint. Once Tom was out, Mike went, what do we need to do, guys? And all of us were like, we need a new gun. And he goes, oh, I've been thinking about a new handgun. We're like, yes, let's do a new handgun.
Yeah.
And he went to work on doing a new handgun, which it's actually been in the works a lot longer than what people realize. We just had that prototype finally to display at SHOT Show. But they knew they needed an update, But again, 20 years for it's those little incremental stuff, but that doesn't matter at this point. 20 years since you've had a serious, significant update from that old C9, and now we're bringing it out,
Yeah. Johnny, you have some super chats out there? Johnny? I think we might have lost Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think that brings us back to the point of this is so we've got a brand new gun, first time in like 20 years, and we've gotten the internet on board in more way than one because I think people were excited, and people on the internet, they do get excited about shenanigans like that. So the naming came out, and then the new list came out, and then everybody went crazy. And what I think is really, really fun is that like we said, the entire internet, or the entire industry kind of jumped on it with varying levels. You know, Palmetto State Armory released a pistol caliber YEET cannon lower, 5.56 lower. I think Aero Precision is doing it. Sky, we mentioned, and I don't quite understand what is going to happen. Like, usually we have a really clear picture of where this is all going to go. But I think before we get to that, Johnny, you have some super chats?
Yeah, we got a couple super chats coming in. Really appreciate that. And plus, anybody that's in there, you don't have to super chat. We like you people anyway. Alpha Romeo 15 says, "We the people demand the YEET cannon. YC9, pretty please." Not bad. That's a good one. Also, Alexander Holiday says this: "When can we pre-order the special YEET run? They sold enough YEET cannon tags today to cover the cost." That's not bad at all. And then also Andrew Kelso just said, he didn't ask a question on there. Andrew, you missed your chance. You put a super chat in there to ask a great question. Now, here's my personal question for Dave is this: what's been the best thing this week? I know it's been a busy week. I know it's been crazy. I'm sure you've had at least a meeting or two about this. What's been the best thing this week?
Honestly, having fun with everybody. I mean, yeah, there's the haters, but the ones that are actually enjoying this, having fun with us, having fun with them, communicating and talking with them, because some people are like, dude, you guys really going to do something? And we'll reply with like, hey, no, man, just sit tight. Trust us, It's having fun with everybody. That's been the best part. Now, the workload, no, it's not been fun. It's been a lot of crap.
Been a lot of crap.
Well, once you see something like that, it's hard to tell people to be patient.
Right. That's exactly it.
I mean, it's easy to say it, but for them to actually be patient, it does get a little difficult at times.
Well, and yeah, they've been hammering us with asking for, pre-orders in general. Oh, we ain't taking pre-orders. I'm like, guys, we're not even producing the gun yet. We're still targeted for late this year,
Well, how bad are the phone lines running? Because I mean, how bad are the phone lines going? Because I've been seeing everywhere people posting the phone number for HiPoint's, phone number, going, "Hey, call and demand it."
It's gotten better. It went from horribly bad to it's gotten manageable and better.
This is so dumb, by the way. I just want to say officially, this is the stupidest week in the gun industry, and I couldn't be happier. We are literally talking about the name of a gun. Hey, Mike, y'all released a gun. I love the name of the mutant just because of what the mutant is. But Mike, what about the Banshee? What's kind of people's overall thoughts on the Banshee?
That is hands down our best-selling platform in the last year.
Do people like the name?
They do. I think once people get used to it and realize that, it's just a small screaming little package that kind of fits, because, especially when you get into the 300 series, they're the smallest configurations. I mean, the Mark 47, we have an 8-inch variety in the Banshee, so, I mean, you want to talk about something that for years I've been standing next to that 10-inch one. I don't think I'm in a hurry to be going to a lot of shows and doing the 8-inch variety.
Now, I don't do a lot of lowbrow humor. But I just want to say, just mind your words, because I'm the one having to read the chat.
Yeah,
we're not chasing it. We're not chasing it. We are adults here. At least 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah.
Now, John, you watch the gun industry. You watch the gun industry really carefully, John. Have you ever seen a time, maybe since the Saint, where people feel like they have that much of a say-so over something that really, honestly, it's the name. It doesn't really matter. John, where are we at as an industry?
We are in this. This is arguably a short bounce off of rock bottom. Like, seriously, the industry as a whole is really, really stale. There's not a lot of excitement going on. There's incremental stuff. Guys are like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool." But as far as like people freaking out, it just hasn't happened. Even when stuff does well, it just doesn't accelerate this way. I've been kind of in the gun industry, working in the gun industry since about, I think, 2013, end of 2012, something like that. I saw the highest sales period the gun industry has ever seen, and I didn't see it act like this. Now, I think this is a much faster thing. I think it's going to accelerate, have its peak, and then die down really quickly. And then when the gun actually hits market, you'll see it spike again. But I think that is fascinating in its own way. And on top of that, we're in a time of year when the gun industry typically is not doing well. The gun industry is very seasonal, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Every summer, somebody is struggling. Something's going wrong. Somebody has to close their doors every summer. And this year was no different until now. And suddenly people everywhere have an opportunity to make money. And speaking of that, Mike, you posted something on your personal Facebook that I want to kind of reference here that I thought was interesting. You were kind of pointing to the people, the opportunistic people out there and brands out there. What is your opinion on people just jumping in on this? Like, is it something that a brand should be doing?
Man, that's really tough to say. I mean, I really think, Dave and HiPoint should take it and run with it, and they should own it. There's a lot of other people out there that just, it wasn't their idea, and they're just trying to, like, for lack of a better description, kind of, as Johnny, a hill person, Johnny might say, if he does a NASCAR term, he might try. They're trying to side draft, off of it. They're trying to get as much as they can out of all the publicity that's going on now. Because let's talk about it. It's hot, and if they could capitalize on it in any way they can, a lot of people seem to be. If it brings HiPoint a little more publicity and gets them some more attention, that's great. Because I mean, this is a fun time in the market. But personally, I think if you're another manufacturer, come up with your own thing. The YEET cannon's HiPoint. Let them have that. You know what? Even
if YEET cannon was somebody else's name, arguably it would have been HiPoint's thing anyway. There is not a better name on the planet. There's not a better name on the planet for that handgun. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Keep going.
Oh yeah. So I mean, essentially, I don't know. I think that everybody should do their own thing, and not necessarily. I understand trying to get little bits and pieces here and there, trying to capitalize on the market, because when you think about it, we're running a business. We're here to sell some stuff, and any little ebb or flow in the market, we have to react to. And if we see a little bit of a spike where people are willing to spend some money, and we can take advantage of that, that's definitely something that, from a business standpoint, you want to do. But I also think that come up with your next fun thing, be the next gun company to come up with something that stirs everybody up, kind of like this is, and see if you can't get some commotion going and really build your brand out of something different.
So when are we going to see the CMMG SpongeBob edition then?
The SpongeBob edition. I'll get back in the morning and see what we can't do on that.
I swear to God, I need a Banshee and SpongeBob camo. I'm telling you right now. The internet would love it, but that brings me.
Our painters are always having a lot of fun, so I have certain people I need to speak to. We'll see if we can't get that going.
Either that or Patrick Starfish. I mean, come on, one of the two.
All right, so SpongeBob. I kind of have to make a little bit of a segue. Does anybody here remember Carnicon?
Yeah, of course.
You watch Carnicon?
Yeah.
He had a thing where he did AK versus AR, and he basically the whole video was basically AR's crap. There's no way to mount anything to it. He's got these abrasive nubs. Eugene Stoner, you did a horrible job trying to design this. And then when he put everything on the AK, he put everything on with SpongeBob duct tape. So you need to go back and revisit that one.
I don't remember that.
That is. I wish Dugan was still producing video, because he is fantastic. Johnny, you got a point?
I got a couple different super chats that rolled in.
Horrible. Good Lord.
And yeah, we got a couple more in here. And now here's the deal. You're going to have to come back to me after this first one, because I got two.
All right.
Mike, I'm going to let you answer this one. Downskated says this: any thoughts on the idea of using 20 HiPoint C9 for home defense all over the house? So 20 different ones all over the house. No reloading. In fact, just throw them at the home intruder and then grab the next C9 and make them think you're magically summoning pistols.
That is a bold strategy.
That was a $20 super chat.
Wow. I love you. That's
he got his money. Mike, what do you think?
Hell yeah. I like the ending there, the magically summoning pistols. But I mean, doesn't everybody already have those everywhere around the house? I mean, that's the way it should be. You should have a shower gun. You should have a vanity gun, a toilet gun, a sink gun. I mean, you can't see my desk here, but you don't know what's hiding right here either. So, and oh man, I just opened that up for Johnny. Sorry.
I like it. I think this is my favorite podcast we've ever done. It's all downhill from here. Dave,
like, hang on. I feel like if you do that, if you put them all over, we're talking actual strategy here. So if you're putting firearms, estimated 20 of them, one, you've got to use strategery to put them in the right spots. But more importantly, you need to come up with a command to yell before you reload so that the guy actually thinks you're performing magic. Like you have to be like, and you have to just like grab a gun and be like, yeah, I stuck in that.
Well, yeah, why don't you just yell yeet?
Yeah, yeet. Come on, man. Yeet.
Yeet. And the show has hit a new low. Thank you. Thank you all. No, that's a really funny thing. So there was another one. Do we have?
Yeah, the next one
follows that.
The next one's for Dave. He's kind of at the point where of hyperventilating at this point from giggling. But Dave, if you can take a good deep breath. Andrew says this. He says, Dave, do you think HiPoint would ever come out with a 3-gun pistol on a budget?
Ooh.
Before you say that, we have this kind of going, like, because I know that you have been in talks just a little bit with what's his face, Kit Badger Ivan, possibly running a HiPoint in a 3-gun match. So this is not new territory, correct?
Correct. It's not new territory. We have had some people run the C9 in USPSA, IDPA. Not really anybody in 3-gun yet. But with the new gun, the YEET cannon, with its advancements being a minimum 10 to 12 round magazines, where it's going to start, the future to maybe have some other, more 3-gun styled gun on a budget. Yeah, it's possible.
So we've seen the YEET cannon running like crazy. I think the next question is, and you don't have to answer this because I'm sure it's already in the works. I would like to see an updated carbine. I think it's an obvious move after this because this is definitely going to sell. I mean, I'm probably going to buy 3 of them if they're reasonably priced. But what I want to talk about before we kind of get to that point in the night, which none of us like, what does this mean for the gun industry? What are we really dealing with here? Is innovation possible right now in the gun industry, or have we hit our peak of technology? Like, we're seeing a lot of like very incremental things, but are we ever truly, within the next year or two, are we really going to see proper innovation? Mike, what do you think, man? You guys have done some interesting stuff. That radial delayed blowback is
what's the definition?
Really, really cool.
What's
Go ahead.
The definition of innovation? Reinventing something and just calling it new, or doing something like, when we did the Powerbolt, when we did the Mark 47, where we had, that mid-size platform. Then we had the radial delay blowback. Our engineers, man, I'll tell you, I really wish that I could tell people what we're working on a lot of times, because like the Mark 47,
tell them about the 458 Banshee. Don't tell them about that one.
There actually is one.
What?
There's a 200 series 458 Banshee.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we have a full auto 12-inch.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
All right.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about something? But so when the Mark 47 came out, I mean, we had that thing in the booth at SHOT Show a year and a half prior, but we wanted to make sure it was ready to go. And by the time we actually released it, we had already moved on engineering wise to so many other new projects. So, it was kind of there's a little bit of a point where it was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of old news, but we got to remember this is new to everybody else. I really wish that I could share our engineering whiteboard because, our owners have some incredible ideas and they come up with stuff. And, that's where the Mark 47 came from. That's where a lot of the stuff came from. They had an idea. They cobbled something together, walked into the engineering room and just basically dropped it on the engineer's desk. And they're like, make that better. I mean, that's pretty much what they do. And then we have to figure out all the bugs and stuff and really get it where we can mass produce it and have it out there where we stand behind it and have a warranty behind it and have customers be happy with it. But I don't think innovation is dead. I think there are a lot more things to come, and you're going to be seeing a lot more fun things in the market because, there are companies like CMMG that, we want to remain relevant. So the companies that want to remain relevant are going to do something about that and make a spot for themselves in there. I think that's another reason why you see other companies that around this time of year where it does get slow, typically, if they're not doing stuff to try to be innovators or pioneers in the industry or anything of that sort, that's the companies that close doors and, they start laying people off and everything. So, I think innovation is there for the people that are seeking it.
Okay. Johnny, if you could have a gun that did anything, fire, assuming we're using traditional ammunition, what would you have somebody make that is truly innovative?
I don't know the right answer to this, but something that doesn't fire a brass cartridge, the same one we talked about this the other night, the same one that Cowboys fired, other than smokeless powder. Yeah, I know there's a little bit of changes here and there, but it's essentially we still fire Cowboy guns. I don't know if I want a laser cannon or a YEET cannon. I don't know what I want, but I want something other than that. I mean, I want a plasma rifle. I mean, if we really get down to it, I want blasters, but somewhere between a Star Wars blaster and a Cowboy gun, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think we're in a very weird period where, there are these really interesting guns, but I feel like some of them you kind of have to be an enthusiast to even appreciate. And I don't know if that's an issue of communication, an issue of the gun community swelling its massive numbers over the last, 10 years. I mean, the gun community is larger than it's ever been, and therefore there are a lot more new people that may not know why something is innovative and interesting. That's a thing. And I think that falls onto the manufacturers to communicate that properly. When we're talking about guns that we would like to see, if I'm talking about something that fires a traditional cartridge, I would like somebody to figure out how to do a rimmed cartridge in a semi-auto reliably. I mean, it's so rare to see a rimmed cartridge do well in a semi-auto, and it's such a simple problem on the surface. I think it would be very interesting for somebody to absolutely nail that in the long run. But what I want to do is, Dave, I want to give you an opportunity to say whatever the heck you want to the TGC audience. Tell them what is going on right now. You've given them a new option. You've said, Internet, I hear you. What did you tell them?
Your chance and your opportunity for the YEET cannon or an YC9, it's not dead. It is there. Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday we'll do a second round vote to be a YEET cannon or YC9 versus what the winner is we have going right now. That's the opportunity. It doesn't matter if you put it on Facebook. It doesn't matter if you put it on Instagram. It doesn't matter if you tweet it. If you don't actually go and vote for it, I don't know what to tell you then, because that's where it's going to be at, is in that actual vote. We want to see the support we've been seeing the last 2 weeks. We want to see that support live in actual votes and just crush out what the competition name is. That's what we want to see.
So really what you're telling the audience is to pick the worst name out of the list of 10 that they can, and then just give Cannon more room to be the inevitable choice. because much like Thanos, yeet cannon is inevitable. So, guys, I think this was an interesting sort of discussion here. We've seen something that the gun industry has not seen in a very long time, and I don't know that we're going to see it in the future. I don't know if we'll ever get back to this point of excitement and people stealing ideas and running with it and creating meme guns. That right there is a very, very it's a sign of the times. Really, that's the reality of it all. So before we wrap up, I want to make sure that you guys know to head over to patreon.com/The Gun Collective and support us directly if you can. If you're in it at least $5 a month, you are entered into the Gun of the Month Club, where we give something away. This month, it's going to be a Marlin 336 Big Loop in 3030. Now, Mike, is there anything you want to say before we bounce out of here?
I kind of wanted to go back to the little bit of the geek in us, and I was actually watching some Smarter Every Day last night, and watching Destin's videos. I love those things. But talking about innovation, the autoplay popped up on YouTube, and then I saw this guy that he made a laser shotgun because he could. He actually got like a bunch of different lasers. Mounted them all together, focused them through a magnifying glass so he could essentially make it into a choke so he could have a wider spread or not. So, talk about the future of guns. There are people out there being innovative all the time, and just stay tuned to CMMG. We've got more fun stuff coming this year. That's all I can say right now.
All right. Quick note there. That laser shotgun was covered on episode 1 of TGC News.
Was it really?
Yes, episode 1. That was one of the stories we ran with. Dave, is there anything you want to say before we roll out tonight?
Not really. Just don't burn us down. Don't hate on us. Well, you can hate on us. We don't care. but just vote, man. Vote when it's time to vote. That's all I can say.
All right. Johnny?
I have 3 final points. Number 1, I really enjoy HiPoint's attitude. You can make fun of them to their face, and they're okay because we do it in. I think most people do it in love, and I certainly do. Dave sent me a HiPoint carbine. It's a 380. It's still sitting over there right in the box, and I'm working on, I think, next week. And so I love it. It's a lot of fun. I appreciate Dave being on here and just having fun. I think in the chat room, we really had a good night tonight. Like, it was so fast, I could barely keep up. I read my favorite comment from the chat room was some jackwagon said, if we were to do the 20 HiPoints all over the house and we're summoning HiPoints with the word yeet, he said you can't actually do that because if it's a 2-story house, the second story would collapse under the weight. I like that. Finally, my final thought of the evening is this. I think because the gun industry, at least the vocal ones. Now, if you go on go to my dad and all his buddies that are sitting around McDonald's tomorrow, drinking coffee. Those guys are all gun guys. They buy a lot of guns. Dad's in the market for 2 right now. He has no idea any of this is going on. I think a lot of the average people in the gun stores, A, don't care, and B, don't care. However, with the vocal minority, those that are plugged into YouTube and that are always on the Instagram and in the chat rooms, I suspect this week was a turning point because we've never seen, at least not since the Saint, anything like this. And I think there's going to be a ripple effect in the months and years to come of people trying to rally over silly stuff. Maybe it won't always be fun like this, but I think the idea of a collective voice, I think it's going to be here for a while because of the power of the internet. So, John, thanks for having me on. Back to you.
I think you absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, I did. That's why I'm the co-host.
And somehow you immediately ruined it.
Laser beam.
Hang on, weren't you going to go into the history of the word yeet?
Oh, yeah. History of the word yeet. Before we get out of here, the history of the word yeet. Now, there's a lot of etymology about that. But if you go to knowyourmeme.com and type in yeet, you're going to find it. It was in some previous spots, so that there's a few places out there. But the one that actually got traction was a large black lady. And somebody hands her, it's on an old Vine. Somebody hands her a Coke or a Pepsi or something. She's in a hallway, a high school hallway, following a ton of people. And somebody hands her a Pepsi. Hey, you want a Pepsi? And she goes to drink it. And she's like, this bitch is empty. Excuse the language. And she goes, this is empty. And she hauls back, and across the entire crowd of like 50 people, she throws an empty pop can and goes, yeet. And so somehow that's what got picked up. Now there is a pre-genesis to that. There's other places where that is, but that vine is the primary place that YEET came from. Dave, you're shaking your head. Go ahead.
No, I've not heard. I've not seen.
Yeah, because he came up with YEET.
Yeah, right.
Remember, internet. He said he owns it.
I said that meme, just that meme that we put out there.
But you know, this is a time that I don't think any of us saw. You know, how could you know that this kind of stuff was coming? And more importantly, how could you know that meme culture would literally overrun an entire gun company? I mean,
Never would have thought that.
I mean, you name it, everybody is now paying attention, and somehow, the brand that nobody expected is the one that brought everybody together. And I'm not joking about that. Nobody. You asked people 2 years ago, who is going to be the most important brand in 2019? Nobody would have said HiPoint. Not a single person. And somehow, through a series of just strange things,
Bad decisions on HiPoint's part.
A series of questionable decisions and internet memes to include HK. Wow, what a week. What a week. What a week. I just want to say thank you to everybody that is listening, watching live, etc. If you guys wouldn't mind, please go to the TGC Surplus YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. It would be awesome. Of course, as always, I want to say thank you to our guests for jumping on here and spending some time with us. And that's it for tonight, guys. We'll see you very soon.
Laser beams.